Alright, students, time for what I would consider our most complicated bond that we're going to be learning about in today's series, which is going to be the hydrogen bonds. And I want to this one, it's pretty very much more necessary to understand the science behind it with my verbal explanations that I always give at the beginning of each lab. Alright, a hydrogen bond is a bond that certain molecules have. These bonds are also significantly more noticeably weaker than both the ionic and covalent bonds that I had mentioned in my past episodes. The way these bonds are created is from an uneven charge distribution throughout the particles, which is called a polar molecule. These bonds are still going to be heavily influenced by our infamous and notorious octet rule that seems to always have some sort of role in our bonds, because, yeah, it's that important. And they will always be a positive and a negative side to our bond. And because particles like being neutral, this bond will try to fix those sorts of problems. The reason that the bond is going to be so important to us is because of the particles not being the same distance from the nucleus as one another. This then leads to our bond that tries to neutralize things to make our particles more stable. The positive end of a molecule will try to connect with the negative side of another water molecule, which will help them, in the end, neutralize the particles. So, let's introduce our sheep for today's episode. And as you can see, very differently from the other ones, where we only needed 2 sheep to try to describe what the bonds would look like, because obviously, in a real bond, there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more bonds in reality for covalent and ionics, but I like to try to simplify it for ease of explanation. But this one, we actually will need a requirement of 3 bonds. I am going to introduce hydrogen positive, and hydrogen negative, and Mr. Oxygen, who is completely unrelated to. Okay, yeah, it's the same element. But alright, Mr. Oxygen over here has 2 inner valence electrons and 4 outer electrons. Mr. Hydrogen positive over here has 2 positively charged valence electrons, and Mr. Hydrogen negative over here has 2 negatively charged. Valence electrons. Sorry about that. I'm supposed to be teaching y'all. Alright. Actually, I forgot. Okay, sorry about that. This is Miss Hydrogen negative. Sorry. I'm sorry. Alright. So Mr. Hydrogen positive and Miss Hydrogen negative, they're in a relationship, right? But they don't really have that much of a stable relationship by being complete opposites. So what do we do about that? Well, as we have generally seen with particles, they want to stay neutral. So, why not? Let's get the negative sides to attach the positive sides. And let's see what happens. Let's try to make ourselves neutral. So as we can see, 2 valence electrons from here, from Mr. Positive, and 2 from Miss Negative. Boop, 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 boop. Alright. Hydrogen positive, Miss Negative. Pretend like they are bonding. For security reasons, they cannot. But they make neutrality. Oh, also, yeah, we also have 4 valence electrons, which is kind of important since, we still have to follow that one rule, the octet rule. Yeah, that's pretty important. So, now that we have neutrality around the bond that we are about to make, we insert the neutrality inside of here. Happy fun times. So then, now, we have 2 of these on the... 4 electrons on the outer shell. We add 4 more, and now we have successfully made our hydrogen bond. Obviously, it's going to be more wider scale with a lot more bonds than this, but the general basics involve the neutralization of the 2 hydrogens, and then a total of, because this is a similar format to the covalent bonds wherever they share electrons, it's going to have in total 8 valence electrons for Mr. Oxygen over here. So, in the end, all of our sheep will form into Team H2O, which is going to be our hydrogen bond. And I am still floating. I am sorry for that. So, I hope y'all learned a little bit more. I hope it was easier to understand with my sheep explanation. But if that didn't work, then the basic science from our verbal explanation should have also helped. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy our next video.